Hello and welcome to Sovereign RPG. I am Sovereign and today we're finally getting around to the Arbitrator Interdictor Fit that I have. Now there's multiple fits we've been working on over the past month or so since we hit that T8. And this is one of them. We'll be going over a couple of different ways in different videos, and it's basically just a showcase. There won't be any footage of how the ship flies afterwards because this particular fit is mainly used in the boring aspects of gate camping. Now I know a lot of people enjoy gate camping. I'm not one of them, but the guys in the corp like to do them every now and then when we want to sort of shut down an area of control to stop our enemies from getting in and out of certain parts of nullsec. We also use this ship to trap other fleets. Say they're doing a special anomaly in one system and we sort of push them into a bubble trap on the gate, we can actually get them in a very vulnerable position, and it's a very good way of doing it without having to warp in. You can have setup ready for them to warp in on you, trying to get back to their home systems. It's a very good way of doing it. Now I apologize if you can hear banging and stuff in the background. There's a building site out the back of my building and I've been waiting all day to make the video hoping they would go home, but it looks like they're doing some overtime, so I'm having to do the video whilst they're doing that, so apologies for that. So this first version of the Arbitrator Interdictor is a buffer tank. As you can see by the fitting, we're going to be running some plates. Now this fit and this ship is all on the live server. It's not anything to do with the test server. All of the testing and all of the fighting and the fitting was done on the live server. I got a little bit bored of being able to have access to everything within the test server. So like I just wanted to be able to work on something and maybe lose it. Now this ship can do PvE. It can do up to T8s without an issue. Basically just do what you always do, warp in at 100, go to a certain distance and wait for them to come to you, and there's no problem. Do not do T10s in this, it cannot do them. The T8 storyline encounters, it does have a little bit of trouble with, but it does take some time and you can finish it. So let's go through the fitting itself. In the top slots, as per usual, I'm using the rapid versions of the missile launchers. These ones are the Pitham C-type medium rapid missile launchers. Now these are mainly there for anything that comes up to you in a close range. You do have quite a long distance with the drones, and the range on these are only 16 kilometers. But if you do get a frigate sort of flying around you, you can do chip damage to them with the rapid missile launchers. They're still quite viable in the PvP scene, in my opinion. In the mid slots, we have a trio of the Predator Stasis Webifier. This is a very expensive ship, by the way. You have the basic tracking disruptor because I cannot for the life of me get a meta 8. But because of this ship's bonuses, you get 5% to tracking disruptor strength, 5% to tracking disruptor optimal range, and plus 5% warp destruction field effective range, which we will talk about in a moment. And that's for every level of advanced propulsion jamming bonus. Now all my skills in cruisers are 5-5-4, except for my cruiser defense skills, which are currently 5-4, working on 5, which will be done in the next day, and then I'll get 1-4 over the next couple of days, so it'll be 5-5-4 across the board. And while we're on here, we'll just talk about the advanced cruiser command bonus. Per level you get plus 25% drone DPS and 3 kilometer drone control range. Now this is drone DPS, so you can use smalls on here. Not that you would, but you can if you feel so inclined. And we'll carry on with the Mark 7 warp disruption field generator. Now what this does, basically when you activate this, it requires fuel. You must have fuel in your hold. I use the Ionic Solutions to use the current fuel. Just gives you the best gigajoule per usage. Now what this does is it extends a field, kind of like the shield field, but instead anything that is inside of that field cannot warp away, except if you are an interceptor, because they are the bane of everyone's existences right now. So with this ship, currently you have a disruption field range of 17.2 kilometers. You can sit on the middle of a gate and you can put that bubble out, but there will be the occasional time where something actually lands outside of that bubble. Even though you're supposed to only really spawn within 15 kilometers in a radius around the gate, that sometimes they just spawn a little bit further out. And those builders are going mental outside. They're throwing stuff off the roof, I guess. I just threw in some Mark 7 infiltrators in there. I use these because of their flight velocity at 3,643 meters a second, their orbital speed at 630 meters a second, and the drone control control range is the same as all the others. They do have a pretty decent tracking speed, and they are one of the fastest medium drones. Plus everyone's using shield now. Having a 341 EM damage is a big bonus. So in the low slots, we have a Gistum C-type medium micro warp drive to get to those speeds, to catch up, to make sure you're getting those ships in a bubble if they're trying to get away. You can sort of keep up with most ships. Now you can swap this stasis web of fire for a scram in case people try to MWD out of your bubble. And we are using double 800 Hansen reinforced steel plates. This grants an armor increase of 2,673. It adds another 2,673 upon activation, and adds another 18.88% on top of that. And we have two of those to sort of stagger them. Now this ship is just basically you're going to be holding the fort. If you say jump into a special anomaly and you want to be using the bubble, you just want to be holding that bubble there and holding those ships there until your friends arrive. So I feel that a buffer tank is much nicer in this situation, especially since armor and shield have such a disparity right now, where armor is actually so much worse than shields. I will be doing a video going in depth. Me and Nina have been working on some stuff. Nina's been doing a lot of maths, and a lot of the content creators are starting to see and put in their input that the armor is just nowhere near as good as shield currently. We do have the Gistum C-type medium cap battery on here as well. This can be used in a multitude of ways. So you can activate this battery to activate one of your plates, so it takes a lot less cap. Or you can throw your first plate up, then when that one's down, you throw the second plate up. When that one's down, you can actually use cap battery and the armor repairer to fill in the 15 to 20 seconds in between your next activation of the plate. Now we do have a medium armor repairer on here. As stated before, I only really have it on here because of the cap battery and to fill in the small amount of time you have in between activations. Now if you're taking quite a lot of damage, you can actually throw both of these up at the same time, but that really does hurt your capacitor. You can see on here that we have 1 minute and 25 seconds. But if you're staying in place, you don't have the micro warp drive active, this is going to be sort of maybe on the 6 to 7 minute mark. The Arbitrator Interdictor does not have a very sizable capacitor. So going into the rigs, we have DPS rigs on here, 2 drone speed augmenters 3s, and a drone firepower augmenter 3. This is a very expensive ship, but you need that DPS. You've already got the buffer tank in there. You've got all tank in the low slots, and you do have that tracking disruptor here to stop most larger ships from being able to track you anyway. Now over here in the engineering, we have a capacitor control circuit 1 because I'm not spending 500 million ISK on one capacitor 3 or 200 plus million ISK on a 2. We have the dynamic fuel valve to enable capacitor need adjustment minus 40% on the micro warp drive to help us get a little bit more cap out of it when you're not running the reps and you haven't activated the plates. And in the last slot we have targeting system subcontroller 3, adds 30% scan resolution adjustment. So let's have a look through the cold stats. Now sitting cold, you're looking at 70 DPS from your missiles. That's if anyone's in a 16 kilometer distance from you. You have a 49 kilometer drone range with 436.6 DPS with no damage modules at all. Another fit that I have been using gets up to 800 DPS as an Arbitrator cruiser Interdictor. You're looking at faction cruiser levels of DPS just without the capacitor and the tank. Still very nice if you're not going to be taking much damage. In the defense lines, we have 3,422 shield hit points. We have 10,000 armor hit points with these two active. You're looking at another 5,000 on top with both of them active, and another 18.8% on top of that. You're looking very nice once those are activated, about 20k armor hit points, give or take. If you'd like to be a little bit tankier, you can change those DPS rigs out if you just want to hold the fort. You don't want to be doing much damage, but I like to be able to have all of our ships doing a little bit of damage so you can continue on the pressure when you are fighting fleets. You can swap those rigs out and fill in the kinetic and explosive holes. You can swap out this medium repper and put a adaptive in there, but the adaptives on armor are absolute dog shit right now, and the percentages are really not worth having the one in there. It's not really worth it on the ship to fit for adaptives or reactives, especially with the way that they are currently. So if you look at the size of the capacitor, let's just put this as, so it's 3,257 capacity. That's with our capacitor battery adding 683. So you have 2,500 capacity on a cruiser that is tier 8. That needs to be fixed. That is terrible. Even if you just look at the faction cruisers, I know faction cruisers are faction cruisers, but there are faction cruisers with 10,000 capacitor capacity. 7,000 on, I believe it's still 7,000 as standard on the Phantasm. I may be wrong on that one. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I've been on the Phantasm, but you can get up to 10k capacitor capacity using batteries. Our targeting is 623 millimeters scan resolution. That allows for you to be able to pretty much in a couple of seconds target a cruiser, instantly target a battle cruiser and a battleship. You got a max lock targets of 6, and our navigation max velocity cold is 394.76 meters a second. Has a 5.96 second warp preparation time and travels at 3.5 AU a second warp speed. So with the cold ones out of the way, let's go jump in outside of the station and have a look at them hot. I wish the game would actually show you how much of your armor hit points you're getting. I wish the actual screen would show you how much armor you're getting fully from these two over here, but it doesn't actually change anything here. What we do have is 1,942.78 meters a second max velocity that allows you to catch up to some good targets. Anything that isn't a frigate, you can catch up to quite nicely. Everything else pretty much stays the same across the board, apart from your warp preparation time, which goes up a couple of seconds when using an MWD, but it actually goes up until you close the MWD down. Now, I want to apologize for not having some footage of the actual ship. There is footage there. It's going to be put into a collage video later on. The footage is from a different fit. I didn't really record any of the gate camping stuff or any of the, which is what this ship is used for. It would be pretty boring to just throw up videos of you sitting there on a gate with your bubble up and things warping in and you insta-blapping them. It's not exactly good content. But if you want to camp gates, if you want to lay traps, if you want to warp in and stop anything from being able to warp out until your friends get there, then this is a good ship for it. And this fit is designed exactly around that playstyle. Now, I know there's a few of you out there who fly the Arbitrator Interdictor. If you have fits, let me know down below what you think about the fit itself and how you would change it if you did. Remember to like and sub if you haven't already. This is your one-stop shop to Eve Echoes. Fly safe and avoid local chat scams.